90s F150. So this is a 5 liter carb converted. Actually done a lot of fucking shit to this. So kind of mocked up on the stand. I'm about to throw cover on it and then head towards clutch and dropping it in the engine. But before I do that, I usually do shorts, and there's no way this is going to fit in a short. So if you're thinking about doing this, or you have one of these trucks or whatever, done a bunch of kind of different, unique modifications, cuts, slashes, hacks, whatever, and all done pretty cheap. So I'll do a walk around of this. Maybe if it takes 10 minutes, it takes 10 minutes. So if you're interested, buckle in. Promise it won't be some drawn out 20-minute long fucking ordeal. But so I might as well start at the top. Edelbrock, cheap as you can get, fucking 10-inch air cleaner, and get into why. Holly 600 vintage carburetor. So check out it's got a different float bowl. You can't buy them like this one there. So that's pretty cool. And you see how the air cleaner has a rise to it. The float bowl has a little rod and a vent. So that's one reason I went with this little air cleaner. The other reason I was unsure with the clearance to the bigger HEI cap. So I went with an HEI distributor. We'll look at this in a minute. But bear in mind, if you're thinking about doing this, these are a bigger distributor. The other thing was this Edelbrock air cleaner comes with a pressed in vent, whatever, so you can right, and this is actually a plumbing pipe. I just soldered me some plumbing pipe, and it's copper, and normally I like the look of copper, but it was I don't know, it just something just didn't, it wasn't right. Normally I like copper fuel lines, but whatever, so I flat blacked it, and that works. So that's cool. That keeps this the crankcase vent, everything functional. So that's wicked. But then also here too, see the clearance I have here? This banjo fitting, I'm running my electric fuel pump. So the fuel lines will be coming in from the firewall through a pressure regulator. So I'll have this flipped, and my fuel line will come this way, out the back, and come down. This here is kind of a first gen. I had an old Chevy I rebuilt. So I put a 700 R4 in it. And one of the first store-bought, you could kind of buy brackets to do it. This was it. And I paid way too much money for it. And honestly, for the application, I didn't like the way it worked. So this was straight out the back, and then it had another 90 that lined up with these slots. That was your TV adjustment. And again, didn't like it. So it honestly sat in a box for I don't know, 15, 20 years. And now I'm using it. And for this, it's going to work fucking awesome because it's still adjustable here for my throttle cable. I have, this is how they did this with a set screw. Just give it some extra rigidity. But I have, and then it's all drilled for my springs and everything. So this is actually a nice piece. I bent this down because if you look here, this is a homemade bracket off of, when you EFI convert something, you have additional brackets and shit that you don't end up using. So you have all this extra tin. So I carved off a little piece of tin, gave myself a thing to zap strap my wire harness to. Even though it's a minimal wire harness, right? Keep it off the engine, give it some goddamn thought, and then I can put it to this, and this is where it goes into my firewall. And then the other thing is when my fuel lines will also come kind of up to this, and then and then you can run it up into here, and I'll have clearance just enough that my throttle won't hit and everything. So be nice, clean installation. All my wires, all my fuel lines up high off of my hot engine. So very, very, very happy with how that turned out. Coming up front, so should we dive in? Yeah, fuck it. HEI. This is as cheap as you can get. Amazon fucking HEI. I think MAS makes it, but we'll get into it. So take note, these, I've already said, these are a larger diameter, and that gave me some problems. So this is a wind intake used. It's probably like a wind stealth, but it's a SP something. This is an older intake. And if we come around here, see where it's shiny? The intake runner on a Ford comes awfully close to these HEI caps, and in my case, see if we can see daylight under here, yeah, I had to grind clearance. Like a lot of clearance. Like I would not recommend removing any more than this, even if it's a sliver. So luckily it worked, but keep that in mind. And then also this here, this is my temperature sender. So you can see here I'm going to be fighting a battle, but again, it's a battle. I'll fight this battle. It's fine. And I cut my AC. Air conditioning was here, so I'm removing my AC from the truck, but I also went and cut this bracket off so that I have clearance here. And to make it work, this idler pulley, if you go from smooth, you can get a grooved version of the same thing, and then the belts will work out. So then I have room. This is sitting front center just the way I like it. And like I said, I'll fight this battle because I'm pretty obsessed with keeping a temperature sender as close. This is a really nice thing because as the you can see your thermostat opening and closing on your gauge, which is fucking ideal, right? So, and again, homemade bracket, so all my wires will come forward about this high, coming into everything off the hot engine, which is something I've become kind of obsessed about. And also, so brackets here, alternator bracket, if you look down in there, see there, that's your heater hose outlet. So factory, I put that hole there because factory, they have a hard line that comes up and around and clamps to this, and then you have a hose, so you essentially have extra hose clamps and a wiggly woo of bullshit. Mine was rotted, and that's what I did, was I cut this hole right here. So I had to get in there with a grinder and clean it up a little better, but just tried it out. And like check out, I do a bunch of short videos where I covered doing this, but it clears. That means I can just run a hose down in it for my heater hose. So a little bit of protection around it and it's fine. Remove the smog pump, and again, we're going to get away with this kind of pulley. That being a grooved, that answers the belts and everything. So I think that's it. I'm going to run a manual choke on this. That'll be the only other thing. And then exhaust manifolds. I'm running factory exhaust manifolds. It's stock guts in this motor. This is stock 5-liter pickup truck motor. So, I mean, not going to light the world on fire anyway. And I am redoing my exhaust with leftover race car parts, so that means 3-inch bullets, 3-inch glass packs. So 3-inch exhaust glass packs are going to be super loud with headers, and especially if you don't make really good horsepower, you just like make a shitload of noise and go nowhere, which is probably okay on Saturday night, but I mean, I'm going to daily this thing, so the exhaust manifolds will cut down on the, you know, low RPM getting in and out of the throttle, just little, right? And the other thing is you can fool cops a little bit. As soon as you go to headers and glass packs, it's very difficult to fool the cops when you get pulled over. This will mellow out the idle to 1500-ish shit quite a bit. And when you're stoplight traffic, think about it, it's all just low RPM shit, and the headers really snap, snarl, and depending on the engine, I had a 390 FE 76 f150, and the big block valves, man, they don't fuck around. So full length headers with the glass packs, it was, dare I say, a bit much. But anyway, this will be a little quieter, thank Christ. But that's it. So I don't know, if you stumble across this video, hopefully you learned something. If not, like, subscribe, and check out my shit. Anyway, have a good day to y'all.